All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless me here talking real music in real time for a few real people out there, just like you, just like me. All right, Merry Christmas, everybody. Hope you're having a great day with your family. And I am hoping you didn't get any coal in your stocking. Before I get going with this video, check out John Elefante. I think it's appropriate for Christmas Day. It's called The Amazing Grace. Want to thank my friend John, not John Elefante, but my friend John from Australia, who sent me this. And yeah, some real religious and Christian overtones on this, which is lacking from a lot of Christmas music these days. Billboard magazine. This is a really interesting admission here. The article is Who Took the Christ Out of Christmas Music? Holiday hits are more secular than ever. This is according to Billboard magazine. And, you know, I often talk about focus testing and research, and they basically admit in this article that they test everything. Tom Pohlman, right? If you don't know who Tom Pohlman is, he's the chief programming officer for iHeart Media. Now, I've said this before, and a lot of people don't understand that. Say you live in Toledo, or you live in Orlando, or you live in Phoenix, you're going to hear the same music on the radio because of guys like Tom Pohlman, because of iHeart Media, which essentially runs and owns all of these music stations in pretty much every market across the United States. There are very few independent radio stations. Hence, if you don't like Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, you're out of luck because you're going to hear it like 16 times in one day. It's everywhere. And the song itself is, I know, it's big every single year, and it seems to get bigger every single year. And obviously, the song has really nothing to do with the Christmas story, and those kinds of songs are, according to Billboard magazine, played less and less. And in this particular survey, it shows that they have a top 100. And keep in mind, they're the ones making the decision, not the consumer. The consumer's not out there going, please, can you give us less Christ in Christmas? Can you just take them out some more? I know, look, the holiday is basically a pagan day. And a lot of people think to themselves, how am I going to have a great Christmas this year? A lot of people are alone. A lot of people have lost loved ones at this time of year. A lot of people have problems that they wish they could overcome. And so Christmas is a very melancholy time of year. There are families that are still out here, thank God, including my own, that have real Christmas celebrations. And we understand that it's, yeah, about all these presents under the tree. But the reason we celebrate is bigger than all of the presents. And the fact that music looks at this holiday as a cash cow, right? We'll go all Christmas starting on November 1st, you know, and you're stuck with 2 months of Christmas music, most of it about Frosty or Rudolph, and very little Christ content in the music. You know what's even more interesting is that Christian radio stations, who used to be kind of like the all Christ Christmas, if you tuned into you get like Stephen Curtis Chapman or somebody singing about Christ for Christmas music. Now they've brought in all of like the Andy Williams and the Perry Como and the Bing Crosby, and you're like, that's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. And if you stream the stations, they've got pictures of all the artists and stuff, and you're basically looking at like the Brat Pack or something from the 1950s and 60s as part of Christian radio. And I used to work in Christian radio, and we had a policy at Christmas time All our songs were Christ-centered, which makes sense. You're a Christian radio station. So now you've basically said, look, we'll play pretty much everything that everybody else plays. We'll play Winter Wonderland or Baby It's Cold Outside, the super controversial song that isn't controversial at all, but it's kind of weird. So they're thinking, yeah, our music isn't good enough, talking about Christ, to just go wall to wall Jesus for the entire season. So we're going to incorporate what the pop stations are doing, and it's bizarro world, because you're thinking, yeah, if I want hardcore Christ-centered music, I'll go listen to K-Love, but it's not going to work for you if you do that. K-Love is programmed and formatted just like all these other stations are. And Tom Pullman at iHeart Media, the chief programming officer, is basically dictating to the entire country what they're going to listen to for Christmas. And it's crappy. In the old days, you had different radio stations with different formats, and those radio stations would play like different styles or different genres of Christian music. If you had a rock station, they would play like Little Drummer Boy by Bob Seger, or just they would try to match up. Hey, we're a rock station, we should try to find artists who are traditional rock artists and play all of their Christmas songs, maybe mixed in with some of just the standard rock music that the station always plays, which I think is a good way of doing it. You have some of the Christmas music, and then you have just the regular format, rather than wall-to-wall Christmas music. It's less boring that way, but nobody really does that anymore. They're just, hey, we're going wall-to-wall Christmas. What's sad and disturbing is that a holiday called Christmas, Christ Mass, right, is now, again, about everything but. For the most part, the gift giving is awesome, yes. But why are we celebrating? Why are we giving gifts on Christmas? Well, it's what we do here in America. We spend as much money as we can on presents. We try to top how many presents we gave out last year. We try to make it bigger and better. And we're stressed out doing it. And if you've got a family coming over, like your family's coming for Christmas, then you probably have to worry about cooking and entertaining, and is the house clean, and all of this stuff. And do you even take 15 minutes just to turn it all off and to appreciate the fact that God gave his only son for us, that this virgin birth was an absolute miracle, unexplainable, and documented very well? I mean, if you want proof of the virgin birth, it's out there to really research and study. And then, of course, Easter, which is the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ, which is even bigger, because it's one thing to have this miracle baby, but it's another thing to have Jesus die and come back and then tell us he's preparing a place for us, which is really our only hope. When you look at this world right now, you're just like, okay, Jesus, anytime. And so at Christmas, it's, of course, the world's way of saying, you know what? Less of this Jesus stuff and more Mariah Carey. You know what I mean? I mean, look, I'm not against it's the most wonderful time of the year, but then why is it the most wonderful time of the year? Is it just because, you've got chestnuts roasting on an open fire? No. But you hear these things over and over again. What's interesting is typically even the old timers, when they put an album together, they had traditional Christmas songs on there, and then they had their big original hit song that goes viral in terms in today's language. So it was a balance. They're like, yeah, we're going to put on a new song that we created, but yet we're going to sing some classics. And you only hear the one secular kind of song that becomes super popular. And yeah, granted, it's hard to not rock around the Christmas tree with Brenda Lee, right? It's really hard not to do that. It's a great song, but it would be nice if there were more songs that were representative of Jesus. And so that's my commentary on Christmas Day. I mean, of course, you can create your own playlist. Honestly, I would have both on there. It's not as if, again, I'm totally against Winter Wonderland or anything. It's just that I'm really tired of Mariah Carey. I can tell you that. Just really tired of her. And I think she's great. Her first album, I thought, was a landmark album. And then things kind of went downhill quickly after that for her, at least in my view. But not going to argue that her voice isn't really an amazing instrument. And she's used her talent, and she's making a ton of money each year just off this one song. So in any event, here's an album that you can listen to that has some great Christian themes on it without being overly preachy, but certainly enough so where you can figure out what he's talking about. That's why I like John Elefante. He's a good representative of what it means to be a follower of Jesus. And even if you're not a follower, that's okay, but maybe check it out, right? All right, folks. I hope everybody has a great Christmas and a happy New Year. Of course, I will be doing videos coming up. So I've got to do my top 20 for the year, melodic rock albums for 2022. So I've got to figure that out. That's going to be interesting. So stay tuned for that. And if you're cold right now, because it's cold here in Florida, try to stay warm. It's bizarre weather where I am because this isn't supposed to happen. Someone needs to turn Florida back on, right? It's like somebody hit a switch, and if we could just turn it back on, I'm thinking, the sun will come out and it'll get up to 80 degrees like it's supposed to be. But I don't know. I guess we're getting a taste of what everybody else is getting a lot stronger than we are. All right. Peace, goodwill, and I will see you soon.